Everyone loves a nice guy until he grows fangs. Everyone praises the humble man until he starts biting back. They cheer for your weakness because it makes them feel safe. But the second you decide to rise, they get nervous because they never expected you to fight back. They never expected you to stop apologizing. They never expected you to become dangerous. But that's what you have to do. If you want to survive, you have to become the monsters they're afraid of. You spent too long being soft. You spent too long pleasing people who would bury you the second you stopped serving them. You've been trained to stay quiet, to stay polite, to stay small. They told you to be good, to be kind, to be patient. But kindness without power is just weakness in disguise. And patience without limits is a prison. They told you monsters were bad, but they forgot to mention one thing. The world is full of wolves, and sheep get eaten. So grow your teeth, sharpen your mind, train your body, strengthen your will. And when they see you coming, make sure they regret ever trying you. This isn't about being evil. This is about being undeniable. About becoming someone who can't be manipulated, someone who can't be used, broken, or controlled. This is about evolving into the version of yourself that strikes fear into every fake friend, every betrayer, every coward who thought you'd stay weak forever. You were born with fire in your blood, but they buried it. They told you to dim your light, lower your voice, and shrink your vision. And like a fool, you listened. You became what they wanted. Harmless, agreeable, average. But now you're done. Now you're waking up. Now you're remembering who you are. The man who doesn't ask for respect, he takes it. The man who doesn't wait for opportunity, he creates it. The man who doesn't fear being feared, he embraces it. Because the truth is, they only love you when you're weaker than them. The second you outgrow them, you become a threat. So become the threat. Become the storm. Become the reason they check themselves. You don't owe them softness. You don't owe them silence. You owe yourself everything you were too afraid to become. Let them talk. Let them judge. Let them whisper. They're afraid now, and that's good. That means you're doing it right. That means the monster is finally awake. They won't understand your silence, but they will fear it. Because silence means you're calculating. Silence means you're building. Silence means you're no longer begging for permission. And when you stop asking and start taking, everything changes. People treat you differently when they know you're capable of destruction. They respect you more when they realize you're not afraid to walk away. You stop getting pushed around when they feel your presence before you even speak. And you don't get that kind of presence by being nice. You get it by becoming dangerous. By becoming the kind of man who can break anything that tries to break him. The kind of man who walks through fire and smiles. The kind of man who turns pain into fuel and pressure into power. Not because he wants revenge, but because he refuses to be weak ever again. He knows what it's like to be powerless. He knows what it's like to beg and be ignored. He remembers every fake handshake, every fake smile, every betrayal, and he uses it. He uses every scar like armor. You see, they never feared the weak version of him. They laughed at him. They pitied him. They used him. But now they see something else. Now they see the shift. The way you move. The way you speak. The way you no longer flinch when threatened. Now they don't know who you are anymore. And that's perfect. That means you're evolving. You can't stay soft in a world built by savages. You can't beg for fairness in a game run by predators. You either dominate or get devoured. You either build your empire or live in someone else's. You either become the monster or spend your life running from them. And when you become that monster, you stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying your goals. You stop shrinking your ambition to make other people feel comfortable. Because greatness isn't meant to fit in. It's meant to stand out. It's meant to be feared. And if your presence doesn't intimidate cowards, you're not finished yet. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're arrogant. They'll say you lost your soul. But you know the truth. You didn't lose your soul. You just stopped selling it. You stopped handing out loyalty to people who wouldn't bleed for you. You stopped loving people who only loved the version of you that served them. Now you love yourself. Now you serve the mission. Now you protect your vision with the same intensity you once wasted on everyone else. You've been broken before, but now you're bulletproof. You've been lied to, but now you're dangerous. You've been abandoned, but now you walk alone and proud. Because monsters don't need crowds. Monsters don't need applause. Monsters don't beg for validation. They move in silence. They build in darkness. And when they strike, there's no warning, only impact. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. You don't owe anyone a soft version of yourself just to make them feel secure. If your growth threatens them, let it. If your fire burns their comfort, so be it. You are not built to keep others warm while you freeze to death inside. You are not born to bow to fear. You are not designed to remain average. And you sure as hell weren't made to be liked by people who don't even like themselves. The moment you stopped chasing approval, you started gaining power. The moment you stopped people-pleasing, you started soul-building. And that's when the monster was born. Not the villain they painted you to be, but the warrior who no longer bends to weakness. The beast that no longer flinches. The man who commands respect without saying a word. You had to die to be reborn. The old you, the one who tolerated disrespect, who smiled through betrayal, who played small to be accepted. He had to go. He served his purpose. He taught you pain. He taught you loss. He taught you what happens when you let the world walk all over you. But now you walk through fire barefoot. Now you stare down demons with no fear in your eyes. Now you speak with silence, and your silence is louder than their screams. They never feared the nice guy. They never feared the weak man. They never feared the polite version of you who bit his tongue to keep the peace. But now, they fear the silence. They fear the stillness. Because still waters run deep, and you've gone deep. You've gone to war with yourself. You've destroyed every lie they told you. You've burned every part of yourself that was built to please others. Now you are the weapon. Now you are the punishment. Now you are the consequence for those who thought you'd never rise. You see, monsters don't get invited. They don't ask to be included. They force their way in. They don't ask if they're good enough. They know they are. And if the world tries to shut the door, they break it off the hinges. They don't wait for permission. They make their own path. You've spent too long waiting to be chosen, waiting for the right time, waiting for someone to save you. But no one's coming. No one's going to hand you the power you were born to claim. You've got to take it. You've got to bleed for it. You've got to become the kind of man that even fear runs from. And when you do, everything changes. They stop seeing you as a victim. They start seeing you as a threat. And that's exactly who you were meant to be. They won't tell you this, but they fear what they can't control. And the moment you stopped needing them, they lost their grip. The moment you chose the hard path over their comfort, they panicked. Because monsters don't ask to fit in. And monsters tear down the walls of every room they were told they couldn't enter. Monsters don't walk behind. They lead. They don't obey. They dominate. You weren't meant to be passive. You weren't meant to blend in. You weren't meant to apologize for being powerful. You were meant to shake the ground when you walk. You were meant to speak without begging to be heard. You were meant to build kingdoms out of chaos and silence rooms just by entering them. They called you too much. Too cold. Too distant. Too angry. Good. Stay that way. Because too much is exactly what it takes to rise in a world addicted to being less. Too cold keeps you sharp in a world built to soften. Too distant keeps your vision protected from those who want to ruin it. Too angry fuels the fire they could never burn in themselves. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not a mistake. You are the storm they tried to avoid. You are the power they hoped you'd never find. And now that you have it, they're scared. Let them be scared. Let them tremble when they speak your name. Let your story haunt them while they scroll through lies that never mattered. Because while they doubted you were evolving. While they taught, you were training. While they watched, you were becoming. And now you are not the same. Now your words cut through lies. Now your presence silences noise. Now your eyes hold war, and your heart holds fire. Now you've become the monster they never saw coming. A monster forged in rejection, sharpened by pain, armored by failure, driven by vision, and fueled by every single person who thought you'd stay down forever. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You didn't just evolve, you became a weapon. You didn't just rise, you became untouchable. And now that you're here, there's no going back. No shrinking, no apologizing, no pretending. You are power. You are darkness and discipline. You are the nightmare of every coward who played with your peace. You are the monster they're afraid of.